The Middle of the Pack podcast.
I was listening to things about, there's no one will do this and no one will do that and no one will do the other. And if you don't do it, if you don't volunteer, there'll be nothing. So I suppose that drove my ability or willingness to get involved as a volunteer and give back to athletics because it has given me so much.
Welcome to episode 28 of the Middle of the Pack podcast. And there you heard this week's guest, Enda Kiernan, who is talking about his running journey, his journey with the Cork footballers, the under-20s, and really park running, all the people that have supported him, and what really is a very interesting episode full of wonderful gems. I think he says at the end, if you can get any, but there are loads to get in this episode. But we'll start off with Enda talking about his work. This is episode 28 of the Middle of the Pack podcast.
I'm an engineer and the environmental director of Cork County Council.
Very good.
So I'm involved now in waste regulations, so issuing permits and licenses to and collection permits to various waste facilities, and then making sure that they're operating within those. Previously, I'd have been involved in waste operations, so the council has a network of recycling centres across the county. So I'd have been involved in some of those, typically in the Macroom, Bandon and Monkstown area.
And that's full time.
That's full time, yeah. That's a part of the job. So there's plenty of other things you do as well, but that's the main bulk of it.
And is it kind of flexible hours? Are you flexible at your?
It's flexible enough. Like I started now at 8 o'clock this morning, and I took 20 minutes for lunch, and I had no coffee break. So, in fairness, I have line managers that their attitude is once the work is done, it's done, and that's it.
So how long have you been running then?
Oh, I've been running since I was 12 years of age. I started out in secondary school. I went to secondary school in St. Mary's CBS in Mullingar.
Okay.
And the PE teacher there was a man by the name of John Mulcair, who was a Galway man who had represented Loughrea AC and had represented Ireland at the 400 metres as a junior. Just missed the Olympics in '84 by the skin of his teeth. And I mean the skin of his teeth. And he was brilliant because he'd push and push and push you. So I got involved in athletics in the school in first year and was running 800 and 1500 metres first in the track. And as time progressed, moved into sprinting over realistically 400, but done a small bit of 200 metre running as well. But done a lot of road racing with Mullingar Harriers Athletic Club. So I'm part of what's known locally as the Mullingar Mafia. I'm proud of it. It's a club that's 50 years old last year and has gone strength to strength. And I ran away, I suppose, until leaving cert. And I went to college in Galway. And I ran there for a while, but I wasn't competitive enough because with the college course, I couldn't put in the time and the effort that was required. I went to London then for a while and I joined a club called Dulwich Runners in South London, and I ran with them for a long time. And anybody who knows South London knows it's hilly, and it's hilly on similar to Glenmire and similar to where the part of the world that you live in, Padraig. It's quite hilly. So to be running 8-minute miling around South London is quite good with all the hills in Dulwich, Brixton and Heron Hill and down there. So there's a lot of good athletic clubs down there. So I ran with them for a while and had some good results with them. Came back to Ireland, finished degree in civil engineering in Jordanstown, and was at that stage realistically playing football. Played football until I was 39 and tore the PCL in my knee at a training session and had to stop doing anything for about 12 months. And the weight was going on and the lack of an outlet for the competitive juices was such that my local physio here in Macroom, he's just the now retired chairman of West Musgrave AC, 2:36 marathon man in his day, said, let's put you running, let's get you back running. And for 12 months, he put me running in straight lines every second day, not doing a whole lot. And he got the knee rebuilt, he got the knee strengthened and built sufficient enough to have to avoid doing an operation on the knee. He was heavily involved, along with 3 others here in Macroom, in bringing Parkrun to Macroom. So Parkrun in Macroom, it was launched in 2013. The first Parkrun in Ireland outside of Dublin. And Donal and his three buddies, JJ, Connor, and Mark, went to Belfast for approximately 6 weekends at different times of the year, learning about Parkrun, how to manage it, how to steward it, and brought it to Macroom, as I say, in April or May 2013. I'd been running about 12 months at that stage, and the rest is history. I've been running continuously since 2012.
That's brilliant, isn't it? It's interesting there because you talk about his influence, but then back in your school days, it's a teacher influence. And listening to other people's running stories, I wonder, is a teacher that's involved in athletics the person that makes the school interested in athletics and therefore encourages the kids to do it? Because in my kids' school, none of them are interested in running, and there's no curriculum for running. There's no interest in running because no teacher runs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, St. Mary's, I suppose, is like the Aidan O'Brien stables. There were so many good athletes and so many different calibers of and types of athletes in terms of, in fairness to John Mulcair, he didn't just focus on cross country, he also focused on track, and he focused on field athletes as well. So, like, I came through St. Mary's CBS at a time when Cormac Finnerty was a classmate and I suppose a teammate. And Cormac went on around the Olympics in 1996 in Barcelona over the 5,000 meters. Ray Kelleher, who would have been a student, had the junior javelin record at that time. There was another fine discus thrower in the school, a chap called Glenn McMahon. Those of you that are into your music, he goes by the band name Zach Mundy or something. Zach, something equivalent to that. It just escapes me right now. But he was a 50-meter plus discus thrower as well. And Glenn subsequently in an interview I heard last year, or maybe the year before, said he absolutely hated athletics. He was one of the finest discus throwers I ever knew. I actually, at under 16 in the community games, the county community games, they'd have been held. The field games have been held in an area known as the Pound Field, which is down beside the county hall in Mullingar. And the Pound Field actually no longer exists. It's now a car park. But I can remember on a wet summer's evening, it was absolutely chucking it down for the qualifier of who was going to Mosney. And there was 4 of us in the final, and Glenn had a no throw, and he brought no towel, a basic thing just to dry the discus. So he two no throws. I was second. Now, I realistically wasn't A, good enough to represent the county in discus, and B, I couldn't make up the gap to the guy who was leading at that time. And I just says, no, this isn't right. Glenn McMahon is one of the finest discus throwers I know and should be representing the county. And gave him the towel, dried the discus, chucked it out the field. The rest is history, won the community games.
Brilliant.
So very, like you talk about people with influence, various people have influence. And yes, John Mulcair had an influence to me. I had 2 uncles on my mother's side from Mayo that ran. One of them was domiciled in Australia at the time, but he was running. He was living in Hobart in Tasmania, and he'd done a lot of running. So he would come home every 3rd or 4th year for a month at a time, and you'd hear about this running and that running and this pace and that pace. It's kind of, you're soaking it up. I had an uncle then in a place called Clonshill near Tuam in Galway. He ran the 1984 Athens Marathon. No, not the Olympics, but there was an Athens Marathon around the same time. And himself and another guy went out and they ran of the region of 3:30, 3:36 for the marathon. So this was 1984, and I was in secondary school at this stage. So there was little bits of it, soaking in, going there. I suppose where I grew up, and it's probably one of the real reasons I volunteer, or one of the probably primary reasons I volunteer, is that there were 2 people, both gone through Eternal Reward, that used to regularly take me to cross-country races and road races, or to the bus inside in Castle Street in Mullingar to meet the Harriers, going to various places around the country. A man called Dennis Colo, who was our local mechanic and used to go to Mass outside the village so that he wouldn't be disturbed at night about cars and can you do this and do that and the other on a Sunday. He wants to go to Mass and go to it in peace and quiet and reflect on his week. And when I get into that man's car of a Sunday morning, There was nothing about him. It was all about me, what I had ran during the week, where was I going, what was I going to do, and, just catching up. But it was always about me as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, what I was going to do. And then there's another man who went to his eternal reward just before Christmas, a man by the name of Paddy Troy. He was the father of Robert Troy, TD for Longford Westmeath. And Paddy brought me and his own children all over the countryside to various meets and stuff. So I suppose a number of years ago, I was listening to things about, oh, there's no one will do this and no one will do that and no one will do the other. And I was like, well, if you don't do it, if you don't volunteer, there'll be nothing. So I suppose that drove my ability or willingness to get involved as a volunteer and give back to athletics, because it has given me so much. So yeah, I think, the people we meet do potentially influence us. And I suppose at the same time, when I was in St. Mary's in Mullingar, I had 2 or 3 different people that influenced me in Gaelic football, and that was my other love. Some might say I was useless at it. I mightn't disagree with them. I suppose in an older age, anxiety to perform took over and impacted performance, but definitely at a younger age, it didn't impact. And when I was in college, I was lucky enough to be some very successful teams in some of the various colleges that I was in, as I went to get my degree in civil engineering, and I have a master's in construction management, and I have a PhD in environmental engineering as well. So I've met some great people along the pathway of life so far, and my life is far from over yet. It's only barely halfway through.
It's only just beginning. So yeah, but you're heavily involved still in football. I know you say you might have been that good, but playing for college teams, you must have been handy enough. Like,
When I came to Cork, I played my football here with Kilnamatra, just west of Macroom. We were lucky enough to be successful in a number of mid-Cork titles and move up to intermediate. I got involved in management in the club. That progressed to management of the Bar senior football team in 2017, losing the senior county final, and then successfully getting over the line in 2018. I spent another bit of time with the Bars and Glanmire during COVID, but they were difficult times in terms of trying to train football teams and be involved in football teams. It was a difficult time during COVID and post COVID in terms of football teams. And then for the last 2 years, I've been involved in Ahabullock, who were a Premier Intermediate team. I lost the county final in 2024 after a replay and won it in 2025. Last year, the year just gone straight away. So I suppose a replication of 17 and 18 in terms of losing the final after a replay in 17 and in 24, and then winning it in 18 and 25. So I'd been involved with Ray Keane, who's a Carsavine man with a business there in Centra in Clonakilty. And I got to know Ray through being involved with Sigerson in MTU in the winter of 2017. And I suppose it's like 2 peas in the pod. I know what he's thinking. He knows what I'm thinking. He won't know how to broach the subject, and I'll come out and just say it warts and all. And we get on very, very well. So we do. And Ray was successful to get the Cork 20 football management job in September, and he's brought me with him as one of his 3 selectors. So it's busy in terms of work, life, wife, running, family, football, and running, and relaxation and all of that. But look, we're getting there in terms of being involved with semi-elite youngsters. It's an absolute privilege, and they're a great gang that we have in there at the moment. We're currently training about 50. We haven't whittled them down just yet. We have to whittle them down to 30 before the end of February, but they're a good bunch. They're reacting and responding to what we're doing. I'm enjoying this. I'm learning so much about myself and about them as well. So it's good, and I hope they're enjoying it too.
And are there any crossovers then with what you've learned from running and what you've learned in football from the point of view of training or pacing or diet or any of those things?
Yeah, there's huge crossover with the athletics and the football in terms of building your fitness. I would typically, for Ray, do the warm up, cool down at every session, and I would do the speed development work, as speed endurance work as part of it. Some nights I'll take the full session because there'll be concerns about various bits and pieces. We've a very good S&C and physio team with the Cork 20s at the moment, and we had the same
in terms of the Bullock setup as well last year. So there would be a lot of interaction and crossover between the various skill sets and working together, obviously for the betterment of everybody. But yeah, because people laugh at me, I'll be warming up the team, and there's a picture a number of years ago, or a video program about Paddy Shea from West Kerry with training teams, and he's stuck inside in the middle of them with his hands and his hips hunkered down. I'm not quite like that, but you get to know the people around you. You get to know the players, and in the bars they would say I knew they were getting injured before they knew themselves were getting injured. I could say, somebody, sorry, you look like you're pulling your left hamstring, or you've dropped your right hip. Are you okay? You look tired. You look very pale in the face, whatever it might be. They'd say, yeah, I'm not feeling great. Pull out there tonight. And you know, you get to know these people over time in depth. And there are a lot of crossovers in terms of the types of warm ups, the stretching, the yoga type work, the Pilates type work, the S&C work. So there's a huge crossover.
Tell me, while you're just on that, I remember we were doing a 5K time trial down in the marina at Christmas time, and I got faster my faster, obviously, in the middle of the run, and then you had said something like, I should have done a longer, slower warm up, and obviously the evening that was in it, I never followed up, and I was going, because I still wonder. I know the benefits of the warm up. It's the cool down that sometimes I find a little bit harder to do, but I was wondering, would that have made me faster at the beginning if I had a longer, slower, or what was the thought process?
I think that might have would have paused, because I don't think you were adequately warmed up in terms of. I'd say you were probably running for about 15 minutes that evening before the warm up.
Yeah, probably we were. Yeah,
you probably need to be 20 odd minutes with a few activations, or a few 80-meter strides or 80-meter pickups, and total recovery after them, and then go again. So you're just activating. You're activating the muscles, and you're firing up the nerve endings and the fast twitch muscles, getting ready for effort, and you're just getting the brain ready as well.
But very few people. I mean, people still in a lot of the groups that I'd be involved in think I'm a lunatic for going out doing a 5K warm up before a 5K race. So the information isn't out there for a lot of people, really, is it?
No. But the important thing of that warm up is, I suppose, it's taken me to listen to a couple of people in the group as well, long and slow. Like it doesn't need to be your normal long run pace, or your normal 40-50 minute midweek run pace. It can be a bit of a plod. So just to warm the body up and keep the energy that you have within the system, and just do your few strides and have everything stretched, so that, God forbid, you don't get an injury. And then, probably lesser on the warm down, perhaps. I was reading a book before Christmas by a chap called Klaas Locke, who's a Dutch farmer. He's a Dutchman who's a former Dutch international runner. He was third in the 1980 European Indoors 3,000 metres. He was 20th in 1980 in the World Cross Country, just 2 places behind John Tracy. And he said it's better to run 10 seconds too slow than 1 second too fast.
It's interesting, isn't it?
In terms of your training, that you're taking so much out of the body. It's better to be undertrained and rested going into a race than overtrained.
And tell me about fueling and diet and things. Is there a similarity there with regards to carb loading and getting people match ready?
Absolutely. So, with Bullock, we would have had a nutritionist in and with guidance on fueling and eating and what to eat when, in terms of X number of hours, 2 hours before the game, having carbs in a drink, having something for during the game, and then getting food into you within 30 minutes of the game ending, in terms of carbs and a small amount of protein. With the Cork GA, there are full-time nutritionists on board, employed by the county board, and they advise all the various groups in terms of food and nutrition. And we try and make sure that people are abiding by that, or that if there are issues, that we're aware of it. So some people get very, very nervous and they just can't consume liquid before matches. So you're trying to find
other ways of keeping them fueled and hydrated. So in Ahabullock last year, I introduced speed dust that we use in running. So Alter Nutrition.
Alter Nutrition.
So Conor O'Keefe was indirectly involved in the success of Ahabullock, and he doesn't know about it until now, until he hears this podcast. A couple of guys couldn't handle gels. A couple of guys would take a gel and within 5 seconds of taking would be retching violently. Just couldn't handle what was inside in the gels. So we tried a number of other things, and I got a brainwave one day. Let's try Alter Nutrition, the speed dust, and
it worked.
we brought some plain Jane, and I brought some of the lemon and lime, and the lemon and lime was the one that was favoured. So we were using that, and proper quality Jaffa cakes, and wine gums during half time, and bananas and fruit before and after.
I wanted to talk about Parkrun as well. You mentioned it earlier because you always talk about volunteering, and I think it's fabulous knowing all the stuff that you're involved in, that you still volunteer and Parkruns and offer to pace in Ballincollig Parkrun. So it is important, isn't it, that, like you said earlier, the people that volunteered for us back in the day, we should be volunteering for others at this time of the year or this time of our lives as well.
Oh, absolutely. I have over 250 Parkruns ran, and I've volunteered approximately 180 times. I was part of the core team in Macroom, although since November I haven't been that core at all. I haven't been doing that much. So to the core team in Macroom in the Castle Domain, I apologise if they're listening to this, but they understand why, and they know that come May, I'll be back on a lot more frequent basis. But look, Parkrun is great in terms of meeting new people, getting out there, getting your Saturday run done, or maybe your Sunday long run done on a Saturday with others. You know, if you go away for a weekend, bring your barcode, or if you have the 5K app, download it. You can run in, nearly 150 places across the island of Ireland.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Before I head to the UK, and remember, if you go to the UK, they start at 9 o'clock, not 9:30. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And it's a great way of seeing the country, you know, and various places. Like, I suppose one of the most beautiful parks that I have ever been in outside of Battersea Park in London is actually the park in Templemore in Tipperary, where they have a park run. And no, I knew about it from work-related matters up there in terms of staying over in Templemore in the area and running there. But the amount of people that I've said go to Templemore and they've come back and they've just been in absolute awe at the beauty and the splendour of the place, and you know, between the forest and the ponds and the water fountains and so forth. There are some beautiful park runs around the island of Ireland.
Yeah, and I think Tramore, they often say at Tramore Valley, which I go to at the odd time as well, you know, every 10 park runs try and volunteer once, you know, and, you know, it's not a huge amount of time when you do that, really.
No, I know. It annoys me. It vexes me and annoys me. People who don't volunteer. I'm aware of people with anywhere between 50 and 100 park runs and no volunteer done whatsoever. Maybe only one or two. It's, you know, I know for times there when I was injured, you know, it was great to, you know, just go down and meet people, Ballincollig and Macroom, Killarney, wherever it was, and just to get out in the air again and give back and just be around athletes, and just the feel good factor of being with people and sitting down, well, standing maybe in Ballincollig, having a cup of coffee post the race with people and just having a chat and feeling included and feeling part of the group. Because, you know, when you're running and you're at races, everybody wants to know how are you, what you're doing, what's your plan for the year, how did you get on today, X, Y, and Z. But when you get injured, you can actually be very quickly forgotten about.
Yeah.
But that's another good reason to be involved in Parkrun and get out there volunteering. It overcomes that potential psychological concerns.
And while you mention it, I know with the Cork football you're going to be busy, but do you have any kind of running goals for the year?
The only race I've entered so far at Padraig this year is the Cork City Marathon 10K on the 31st of May. I can't enter anything at the moment because of behind closed doors challenge games, practice matches, training sessions on Sundays and stuff. So I'm actually getting to a park run this Saturday. Won't say where for the moment, but I'm actually getting to a park run this Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's amazing, though. But it is, I think it's testament to you that the amount of, like, I know when I met you first in part of Kier's group and the running weekend, you are super supportive and encouraging, and it's always nice to have a chat. And knowing now how busy you are and to still have time for people it's wonderful. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to get you on, because I think not enough, well, it's not fair to say not enough people, but people I think don't realize how many people volunteer, you know what I mean, and give their time. And I think that's one of the things you've always talked about, and I think it's brilliant that you do it, you walk the walk, and it's brilliant.
But see, look, if people don't, people want things, and if they're not prepared to back them, support them, and that includes volunteering at them, we won't have them.
Absolutely,
I'm like, as I say, I always remember the people that supported me along with my parents as a youngster growing up, in terms of getting me to races and taking me from races, and that showed a genuine, I suppose, concern, not concern, but interest in what I was doing and how I was doing and what happened. They all shaped me directly or indirectly, made me the person I am. And, it's good to give back to your community. As I say, I was very proud here when Parkrun came to Macroom to be the first place outside of Dublin. I suppose because I had a link with the four lads who were heavily involved in setting it up and driving it. And because I suppose became part of the core team so early, I understood the issues in terms of, well, if we don't get volunteers, this doesn't go ahead. And if this doesn't go ahead, 50, 60, 70, 80 people are not going to have their run. And, for the sake of me standing, and there's been Saturdays where I would have gone to Parkrun in Macroom and I'd have had to stand down. That mean many now, in fairness, but all of the core team at various times, we would have all stood our Saturday down in order to make sure someone else could have their run. So, look, it takes a little from me, but it gives me a lot. So it's what I get back for what I give is multiple. So it's so well worth it.
It's been a real pleasure having you on, and I know you're extremely busy, so thank you for supporting the podcast, because I know you're a good support for that too. And thanks for all that you do. It's brilliant.
Not at all, Paul. Thanks for having me on. I'm absolutely delighted to have been asked to come on, and I hope someone will get some gem of wisdom out of it. They'll probably have to do a fair bit of digging, but thank you, and continued success to you with the Middle of the Pack podcast, and thank you for all you do.
Brilliant, thank you. And that's Enda Kiernan, our guest on this week's podcast. Next week, probably taken up from where Enda spoke about speed dust, Alter Nutrition. We have got Conor O'Keefe on, the founder of Alter Nutrition, and he'll be talking about the benefits of all that, his business and his running journey, and I really hope you can tune in for that. That will be episode 29. But this was episode 28 of the Middle Pack podcast, and for this week, thanks for listening and keep on running.